of what I'm dealing with here, who has heard about this case? Okay, all right. Who has seen the Netflix documentary about this case? All right, cool. That actually makes things a lot easier for me, because I don't have to explain to you all of the nitty-gritty of DNA evidence or anything like that. I can talk to you more about what you're going to be dealing with your future clients, what it's like to be at the center of one of these stories and scandals that not only take over the lives of the people involved, but kind of in a way, for some weird reason, take over the world. To take you back to how it all began, in 2007, so, before smartphones, when Facebook was still cool, I was 20 years old and I was at school, like all of you guys. I was studying languages and poetry, so I was not dealing with like really hardcore stuff like you guys were. I was like yoga and rock climbing and, Elizabeth Bishop and stuff like that. That was my world. And, I recall like one of my classes was trying to figure out how to say the word in Italian for squirrel, which, does anyone know what it is? It's scoiattolo. It was a very weird word at the time for me to say. And I decided, because I'd always wanted to do this and study abroad, my third year of college, I planned it all out. I actually had applied to 2 different countries. I was like, maybe I can go to Germany, or maybe I can go to Italy, and it just so happened that Italy was the first to accept me. Italy was the language that I had less experience with, and come on, it's Italy. Come on. It's way more fun than Germany, let's be real. So I went. And, I got, basically I had the time of my life until I didn't. Because I showed up in Italy, and the second I walked up to my school to, check it out and see what's going on, I run into my future roommate who's like, hey, we have a room to rent. Do you want to rent our room? And I'm like, yes, of course I do. And it's, of course, got fig trees in the garden, and it's overlooking a beautiful valley, and it's steps away from the university, and I'm just, blown out of my mind that I'm living in this beautiful cottage with 3 other young student women, and I'm having the time of my life. A few weeks into my stay, I met this really cute guy named Raffaele at this classical musical concert, and we hit it off, and we spent the next 5 days just constantly with each other, going shopping and spending the night and watching anime and all of that good stuff. And it came upon the Halloween holidays, which in Italy, Halloween isn't very much of a big deal. It's actually the day after Halloween that's a big deal. It's the Day of the Dead. It's always a holiday in Italy. It's when they take time off of work. So my Italian roommates, I had 2 Italian roommates, each had plans to be away for the weekend. One of my roommates was going down to Rome for a work trip. Another one of my roommates, Filomena, was spending the night with her boyfriend, and then they were going to have fun with their friends over the weekend. And in fact, Raffaele wanted to take me to go on a special weekend trip, romantic, to a local town called Gubbio, so that I could try the truffles there. And that was November 1st. I spent the night at his house November 1st, and I came home the next day, simply just grabbed some changes of clothes, take a shower, get ready to go off on this trip to Gubbio. But when I came home, I discovered a crime scene. I didn't know that it was a crime scene at first. I came into my house, the front door was open, which I thought was odd, but also the front door lock didn't quite work, so maybe someone didn't lock it all the way and the wind blew it open, I thought. And then I looked around, everything looked normal, I got changed, I took a shower, and I found blood in the sink in my bathroom. And I thought, that's weird, it's a little bit of blood. Am I bleeding? I just got my ears pierced. Am I bleeding? No. Where'd that come from? I don't know, it must be nothing. It's just a few drops of blood. Take a shower, do my thing, change, blow dry my hair. And that's when I noticed that there was poop left in the toilet in the second bathroom in the cottage. And that, to me, struck me as very odd, because my two Italian roommates, whose bathroom this was, they were meticulous cleaners. They would not have left something like that in their bathroom. And I immediately got chills. I immediately thought that someone was in the house with me, and I immediately left. I went back to Raffaele's apartment. I explained to him what I had seen, and he said, you should get in touch with your roommates. Maybe they know what's going on. And so I called them. I called Laura, no answer. I called Meredith, no answer. I called Filomena. Finally, someone answers. She tells me to go back home and double check that nothing bad had happened. She hadn't been home that night, Laura hadn't been home that night. It must have only been Meredith, but no one knew where Meredith was. So I go home with Raffaele. I don't know how to call the cops or anything like this at the time. I come home and I take a better look around. And opening the door into the bedroom of Laura, I notice that everything's fine, everything's perfect, bedspread perfectly neat. I go into the bedroom with Filomena, and it is a wreck. The entire place is strewn, everything is everywhere. There's glass, there's a window broken, but at the same time, there's her laptop right on the counter, and it seems like everything's there, and Laura's room was fine, and my room was fine, and the TV's still in the living room, so what's going on? And I finally go and try to look in Meredith's room. Meredith's room would not open. I knocked, I called, and no one answered. So I asked Raffaele to try to kick the door down. He tried, he wasn't able to kick it down, it was locked. So he called the cops. And to make a long story short, I guess, there's been a lot of talk about this case over the past, goodness, it's over 10 years now. This case made international headlines for over 10 years. And it wasn't just an every once in a while kind of headline. There was periods of time where it was every single day. For all of that media attention, all of that scrutiny, what I find interesting about this case is that very few people know what actually happened, who actually did it. And that's because the story of the murder of Meredith Kircher has not been widely shared. At the same time that I was living my life in Perugia and having a good time, another story was unfolding in the shadows. And that was that a young man who grew up in Perugia in a foster family had recently been kicked out for having stolen from his foster family. And he was a bit on a downward spiral. He was breaking and entering, he was